AI can only automate stuff. What it means is that the things which you are very sure how it needs to be done, AI can do it better. But if you leave decision making on AI, it is going to blow everything up. You are leaving at least 30 to 40% of customers just because you're not able to respond to them from the same platform which is actually doing your CTR. Create great relationships. Do not think that the money you are going to get today is what you are working for. Remember, the money can come again, but the person who's working for you is going to stay for life and is going to tell 10 more people that what kind of person you are. For almost 10 years of my company, I never came to visit my clients. They did not see my face ever.
Hello, welcome back to Odys Podcast. My name is Aneta Samkov, and my guest today is Palak Behal, who is founder and CEO of MindVerse Labs. Thank you so much for joining us today, Palak.
Thank you so much, Aneta, for having me. I am really looking forward to this interview.
Thank you. Yes, our topic for today, AI. And actually, can we start by describing MindVerse Labs a little bit? Can you tell us about the company? How many people? Was the revenue split between consulting and product? And how much of your time do you devote to it?
Oh, great questions to start with. MindVerse Labs is basically a technology and consulting company, and it has been there for last 15 years. Initially, we started doing a lot of ERP projects, and then we moved into startups and different technologies. About the revenue split, right now MindVerse Labs is totally funding our product Groaa because it has still to go into the market completely. And about my time, I think this is one of my favorite questions, is I spend my time mostly, training people to do things which I want them to do. And after that, I spend my time learning new things rather than, doing the same things all over again. So my time is more on the ecosystem understanding than actually working on Grow or other projects.
And you are very experienced because you spent last 16 years building things for other companies, like subsystems, enterprise tech, consulting. What was the specific moment when you realized that you want to build your own product? What led to that decision?
Okay, so basically when I started, I was doing ERP projects. So ERP projects are like closed ecosystem projects where, you go into client, you understand the problem, you solve the problem, and that's it. You could have created a great product within their system, but the impact is within that system, right? So almost, I think 7 years ago, I started working on blockchain projects as well. And the project was insane. The scale was insane. I learned how these open ecosystem projects can scale rapidly and impact the world. And since then, I was like, I have to create a product, but I was not sure what, because I was not getting an attachment to any of the ecosystems or any of the domains. And I was like waiting for my moment, you can say. I remember around 2021-22 when I started working with ChatGPT, and I realized, there is a growth specific to digital media within India, because India is an ecosystem I understand and I can sell there. And there is this, craze around consumerism which is happening on the social media channels. And I realized that there has to be a product where people who are trying to sell from their home should get the value of AI as much as, big companies who can actually build products around them. So these people should get a chance to stand on the same level. And initially, because I'm a service provider by trade, initially I started doing these kind of projects for other companies so that I learn the trade exactly how it has to be before getting into my own product. So that's how we started thinking about
And yes, I wanted to ask about Groaa. It's an AI sales agent. It sits kind of inside Instagram, WhatsApp, other social media platforms, and responds to customers.
Yes.
It also recovers abandoned carts, right?
Yes.
Closes sales.
Yeah.
So when someone actually switches to your product, what changes for them in terms of numbers? Like how does that improve their sales?
Okay, so this is actually a very wide question. I'll try to explain a couple of things here. So basically what happens is that there are many chatbots, okay?
Yes.
But what happens is that and people are spending a lot on meta ads and social media ads, because you must have seen that most of us are spending most of our time on digital media scrolling, doom scrolling, and we are so attached to buying things what we see as soon as we like something, right? But what happens in current ecosystem is, you see an ad, then there will be a CTA where you are directed to another platform, either a WhatsApp or on their website, and then if you fill in your details, you are recorded for that client. But you must have seen that on these ads there are thousands of comments: price please, how can I get it, stuff like that.
Yes.
And there are some chatbots which actually respond to those, but these chatbots do not do an entire set of functions around what an e-commerce platform needs. So what we built was that this is a leakage in the entire sales system. You are spending, say, 10,000 euros on an ad for a month, which a lot of our clients are, but you are leaving at least 30 to 40% of customers just because you're not able to respond to them from the same platform which is actually doing your CTR. Yes. So that is where we felt that there is a gap. We should fill that gap, and that is where the Groaa came in.
So one thing I think people in the West don't fully understand is the economics of building tech product from India. Can you tell us a little bit what it costs you to keep Groaa running, and how does it compare to building similar product in the West?
Okay, so I think this is a great question, and I will just change this question a little bit to start with, and I'll come back to this question later. So basically, the one thing which I feel that West is not understanding is economics of India in terms of how to sell, in sense that currently India is the fourth fastest growing in like last 4 years, it has been the fastest growing large economy, which means India has the highest population, and India has been a very, very poor country. Now it is converting to a level where the consumerism is the biggest factor of its growth. It's not export, it's consumerism. So they are selling a lot. So from here, we understood that the value of this product comes in a lot because you can scale really fast. And around the economics, there are very few products which were built in India for Indian consumer. Most of the products come from US, and US has figured out that, the cost of India for the same product has to be low. Right? Though they'll be obviously more expensive to build it, but because they've already get that expense in control in US market, now they can actually sell low in India. So here, what we are trying to do, if I talk about, economics, you asked the question how to compare it with London or other countries. So here, one thing is very, very clear, that if a resource in London is going to cost you 160K, a resource in India is going to cost me much, much lesser with the same type of understanding and the same of technology and same type of understanding of the domain, correct? So what we do in that case is, one, we keep we take expensive resources from India itself, but we make sure that they are trained, they are understanding the impacts of what they do, etc. And what we also do is we make sure we create, we keep on teaching them how to use AI in the most perfect manner, so that they are responsible for what it is happening, but it is also making them very, very strong. So if you talk about, how London or Europe is going to create a product which we are creating, I think the cost dynamics are going to be at least 1:5, just on the cost. And if we talk about scalability, I think in Europe, the costing of the product can be much higher, because that's how the market is. But if you've already tested a product on a larger audience, I think it is easier to scale that into various locations as well.
I see. Yeah. Okay. And your direct competitors in this space, like MoneyChart, Tidy, Respond.io, these are companies that have raised tens of millions in venture capital, but you are bootstrapped all the way. Can you tell us, what does the money they get buy them that you don't have, and vice versa? What does your cost structure give you that they will never be able to get?
Okay. So I think I'm not going to deny that, of course, they have venture capital, they have a brand, and they are going to have a value out of these things. But what we have built now is a product for future. So, when we started thinking about creating this product, one thing which we did was we started taking demos of every platform there is, which could be a competitor in any way or format. We are trying to solve multiple things. One could be a ManyChat problem, one could be a other platform problem, but we took, feedbacks from every platform to understand the problems customers face. And what we realized was that these are very complex legacy systems. It is like comparing a Jira with a Notion. That Notion will have customers just because it is easier to use, just because it is faster to use, just because there's less effort a human has to put into doing the same amount of tasks which someone has to put into Jira. So that's how we've created this product. Obviously, they can put the AI layer. Obviously, they can solve the same problems like adding, maybe a chatbot on an Instagram or creating an additional layer. But they will still have a complex product to work with. And I think once we have a proof of the customers which we are constantly working towards, the numbers which we are constantly working towards to get, I think there would be genuine interest in the people. And then I think we just have to finalize how to put money into distribution and marketing. And that's the plan of future for us.
I see. And there is a perception in the Western market that offshore development is cheap, but the output may be inconsistent. And you have you've been on that side for almost 2 decades. Like, can you tell us where this perception is accurate and where is it totally wrong?
I think this perception is accurate, but I think I was placed a little bit different. I'll tell you a story around that. So the first project I did in Malta, before that I've done some projects in Switzerland, was your energy in Malta and IUBS, okay? And there I was working with the mayor of your country, etc. And I got some kind of recommendations on different projects. And one thing which I did not do, because, I knew certain people and I took guidance from them, was that I did not cut my prices, which gave me the flexibility. I was actually, at that time when I started working on different projects, I was actually the expensive resource compared to their team in Malta and other places. So, which gave me the flexibility of choosing the right candidates back home, which gave me the flexibility of giving them more value than any other provider can. So I think one thing which has always happened with me is that if, my company promises something to you, we deliver. And sometimes we've gone out of the scope also, just to make sure that the client does not get, does not fear the outcome. They get the outcome they are looking for in the same amount of, expenses.
And pricing is very difficult for each founder to make. And with Groaa, you could either go premium or compete on price. How did you go about the decision, and what advantages either of those would have? Like, how did you decide?
Okay, so I think this is one of my favorite questions, and we are still trying to figure it out, but I think we are very close to figuring it out. So initially, because we were very clear that this product could be a multi-dimensional product, which means that it can be used by e-commerce platforms, it can be used by any company which has any kind of expense on meta ads or advertisement. But we wanted to go towards one particular target audience so that we can literally target them correctly, convert them, see their outputs, and then maybe go into multiple different areas. So when we started pricing, we thought that should we start with the pricing per messages, and we put a lot of effort in the backend so that the pricing is very slim. Like I know some competitors where their own cost is more than the pricing we can offer, for example, because we've put a lot of energies and our resources just to make sure that AI pricing should not outgrow the entire product cost. But then we also onboarded some really good beta customers, and the feedback we got was phenomenal, which was that because they are currently leaving a huge set of market just because they cannot handle that, because humanly they cannot respond to every message and all those things, right? Yes. So if I'm spending 10,000 euros a month for ad and I'm getting maybe a revenue of 40,000, normally it is like 3 to 4 ROAS in this industry. In e-commerce, it is like 4 ROAS, like 4 times the revenue spent on ad is what you get in the customer. But you've left a large market, not even tapped it, right? And if you get a tap out, if you get an output of that market, and you can just cost on the percentage, because this sale was a wastage sale for you. You've left that sale. Now, if you charge based on the percentage, the client would be happier to pay. So now this is where we are going to charge based on the percentage of extra revenue, and we have a way to figure it out that, okay, this is the extra revenue which came because of the Groaa platform, and that is, this is an extra sale, this is extra money for you, so you wouldn't mind paying 5% to us. So it is like, if your product is a 500 euro product, we get a 5%. If someone else's product is like a cheaper product, we also get 5% of it. I'll tell you one thing which I'm pretty sure I'm going to make the same decision is going into the digital era of marketing, social media focused. But the pricing wise, I think I'm really, really confident right now about the decision on should I go to for the same product. I see that now the next generation is going to be more hooked with social media platforms, would be more uncomfortable moving from one platform to another, because they are the lazy people constantly, moving from one thing to another. So I believe that this is the area of advertisement and for digital media to tap on. But pricing wise, I think we will know once we start getting more feedback. But I feel confident right now.
I see. And what's the most expensive mistake that you have made while building Groaa? Can you share any?
Yeah, I think I made a lot of mistakes. Okay, so
we found there.
I have. So when we started, we realized that this particular leak is happening, which is comments are not being replied to. But what we did not realize, and we realized much later, was this is just a feature. If I go to a company and I tell them that this is an additional sales, they don't want to use an extra product for handling this. You have to create a product which does everything the other product is doing plus this feature. You can't just sell it, because the biggest problem for any company is having too many products and too many chaos into their system. So then we realized that what is more important than being able to do this is to be able to handle the abandoned carts. So if someone literally went to their website and tried to buy it and did not buy it, you have to keep on following up. Follow-ups are very important. Abandoned carts are very important. Identifying customer of what kind of customer it is very important, and then making sure that customer is a long-term customer. The entire pipeline, you have to create that. So that is very important. So these are the things which we have put it on in our product in a very agile way. Like lead management, we've put in a very agile way, where literally a customer can go in, change whatever they want to change, and it'll work for them, so that they don't have to use multiple channels, and they can literally connect their Shopify on the same platform. They can connect all their social media on the same platform, and this is it. They are like, they can sleep then.
Any other lessons that you'd like to share with us?
Yes, I think one of the lessons we also learned was how you present yourself. I think being too connected to technology, because we come from a technology space and not a sales space. So sometimes what happens is we explain too much technical things rather than explaining how it is going to help them in their business. Is something which I learned a little bit late. You always have to talk in how are they going to get benefited in terms of money, instead of telling how cool my technology is. It never works. It never works. So that's one thing which I've learned. And
make it about them, not the product.
Yeah.
And you build AI that replaces humans. Klarna did the same thing with where they fired over 700 people, replaced with AI, and it didn't work out. They started hiring back, and they admitted that it was a mistake. Where do you think, because you're so in the AI world, where's the line between AI that actually works and helps the business versus AI that damages it?
Okay, great question again. I think Klarna has been a good lesson for all of us, because everybody who saw AI first was like in love with AI and thought everything can be replaced, but it cannot be. One thing which is very, very important right now is AI can only automate stuff. What it means is that the things which you are very sure how it needs to be done, AI can do it better. But if you leave decision making on AI, it is going to blow everything up. So what is very important is having a human layer, having every product being able to see what output it is getting you, and a human layer to interpret the output of the AI. So because if you do not have a responsibility and accountability layer in the human channel, no AI can really work. So I think that's what we've built in Groaa. I can tell you one feature which I really, really like, and which I got a great feedback on Groaa. So what happened, you were asking also one of the mistakes. So what happened earlier, we used to tell our customers that, you can connect with our product in less than 5 minutes and you can go live. And then I realized, who is going to be responsible if AI answers something wrong? Like, who's the responsibility? It's me. Exactly. It's not you can't say that AI went wrong and it's not my mistake. It's still my mistake because this is my product. What should I do to solve this problem? So what I did was that we created a shadow mode. What happens in the shadow mode in Groaa is that it will still respond to all the queries of the customer, but the answers will not go to the customer. It stays in the backend. There is a report that, and your team is still responding to those customers. There is a report that gets generated which compares your answers to the AI answers. It tells you how many outliers there were. You can go in. You can see, compare which are the outliers. Do you want AI to respond next time on these questions? What should be the answer? If you do not want, no, I don't want to respond. So every time AI sees those questions, it will say, okay, I'm connecting your call to the human. Human will answer that. So plus, there is a specific reporting system which is only for your sales agents, your customer service agents, to know where exactly the escalations are happening, where exactly which humans needs to be contacted to, because AI alone is not the accountability layer. It is like I see it as of now like a slave who can do your automated tasks, and that's all it should be doing by itself. The rest, it's still your responsibility.
That is very interesting guardrails that you put into the project.
Yeah, I believe so, yes. We got some great feedback from some of our clients, so a lot of thank you to them as well.
Nice. And many surveys came out recently actually stating that over 80% of enterprise AI projects fail and they don't deliver any business value. That money is wasted. Some estimate that it costs companies $4 to $8 million. You're selling AI to business. What do you see going wrong on the buyer's side that causes these projects to fail?
So to this question, basically, I've heard a lot of people saying this, most of these AI agents fail, or most of these AI projects fail because data is not correct, because you've not put the right amount of information to it. And that's 100% correct. If you hire an intern and if you tell him, okay, go and just sell my product, he's going to make shit up. He's not going to tell exactly what it is, how you would say, because he's not learned that. This is how AI is, because there is no outcome, there is no clear expectation setting which has happened, and the data is incorrect, which is like not able to understand. But I believe the additional layer which comes in here, which we were talking about earlier as well, is there is no accountability layer. Every AI project, I believe, should have a specific accountability layer where whatever task you are giving AI to automate should be have a specific reporting for a human to see if this task is done correctly, and that reporting ecosystem has to be better than what you are trying to replace. If you're trying to replace this amount of work in one go, I would recommend replace this amount of work first, create a clear accounting layer over it, put people on that so that you can blame those people instead of blaming AI. Make sure that it works, and then do tick, 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 tick. You don't have to do everything at once just because it can happen.
So how do you sell such AI-based product to the customers that have been burned before? Because many of these companies just fail.
Yes. So first question was, Yana, if you are spending 14 hours and then you're again, there's so much time you are spending fixing that. And I think that is true. And if I talk about using AI in strategizing, I know that my team is doing so much better than it was doing earlier. So earlier, what was the project timelines were that initially people have to talk to each other, get the requirements, create a front end, explain them. And it's a huge 3-month delivery pipeline just to understand what the requirement is. Now what happens is that you feed in as much information to AI and the strategy layer is so much faster because even the front end is showable, so people actually understand each other much faster. So in strategizing, if you have the right brains working in the strategy, AI has made them at least 5 times better, and I can prove it with numbers on this. But when you use AI without using your brain, which a lot of people are doing, where they are just pushing AI down throats of people who are not even learned how to use AI. This actually creates more work for them because understanding what AI has said is also an extra task. Then you just put in random information. You then do not even teach people how to understand the AI responses or how to get the AI to work in the way they want it to work, and it just causes more chaos than it will add value to it. And about convincing customers, one thing which I've been in enterprise first, and my mantra has mostly been prove it. Get them to instead of get them to work for you on a small project, work so good that they don't want to replace it, right? But now this is a startup which is a SaaS product and it has to scale. So in this case, my goal is always to target my audience to a level where my marketing budget and distribution budget works the best, and the audience which can get onboarded the most easy. The people who are not using millions of products or do not have enough ecosystem or money to put into something, get the data out of them, put them on as much as ads as you can so that people see what the outcome is there, and then constantly create customers out of the same data so that you have something to prove. Because I've always believed unless you can prove, everybody is going to say that I am the best, like who's going, So that's where I believe that this is how I get the customers onboarded.
Okay, and you built your product bootstrapped all the way, and you're competing in very tough Western market. What's the advice you would give to other founders in the non-Western parts of the world that you wish you knew in the past?
Okay, one thing is that do not be scared of telling people who you are or from where you come. I think it's a moat. Plus, create great relationships. Do not think that the money you are going to get today is what you are working for. Remember, the money can come again, but the person who's working for you is going to stay for life and is going to tell 10 more people that what kind of person you are. I think at the end of the day, no matter how much AI comes, humans cannot be replaced just because of the value we bring, just because the accountability we bring to anything. So I think it is all about creating great connections and just doing what you say you are going to do.
How important is networking for your business?
Okay, so to be very, very fair, I've not networked too much before this, and I've gotten projects mostly because I've done good work and I've gotten references. For almost 10 years of my company, I never came to visit my clients. They did not see my face ever. Maybe one or two people had met me in India when they traveled. They were just, transferring me from one person to another just because they saw the work I've done. But now at this stage, I feel that I understand the value of networking. This is like a growth for me, that I understand the value of network, because then you are actually on a platter for everybody to see, and then everybody can understand what value you can bring. You things convert faster, it scales better. So I believe in value of networking, but I think I'm still there learning on that area.
So you just saw this value and it proved like very good.
Yeah.
How do you pick the events, and do you like what type of networking works best for you, like conferences or?
I don't pick the events. I just, because I've created a good network where people are, my friend Jean-Michel who recommended, we are like this, and I make sure that I just go out with people I can trust and people who can trust me, so that they already know the networks, the marketing, everything. And it is easier to go with a reference rather than going direct and, trying to blab and people not understanding you. I think it's easier for me to go through references. So I normally just
maybe joining like the WhatsApp groups, like support.
I've started to do that just now. I've started to do that. I'm trying to, I've also started hiring marketing people on the side of things, but that's something which is still ongoing. One thing which I've done with AI, which I'm really, really happy with, is I've started also creating marketing agents which work with my data and keep on creating content for my product and keep on releasing these things on a very, very basic level. But at least, my team gets a lot of value out of it because their work gets much lesser in these things.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Palak, for this conversation and for sharing all your experience building the product and insights. This is, I think, very valuable to our audience. So if you enjoyed this episode, contact Palak on LinkedIn and subscribe and like our show.
Thank you so much, Anita.